Welcome back to another edition of the B4evaKool podcast. My name is Fortyfive, and tonight's going to be exciting. Might even get a little wild and crazy because it's a lot that's gone on in MotoGP in France over the weekend. In no specific order, I'm going to bring the guys in. We'll start with Eli Block. Eli, welcome back. Welcome to Monday nights and to the show. How you doing, man?
Thanks for having me again. Oh shit, there goes the camera. But how you doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. You travel a lot. Although Loudon was just over the weekend, I'm pretty sure you're probably trying to get to another location at some point. How things been?
Oh, it's pretty good. We just I didn't really get to watch the French GP too much, but I got to rewatch it after I talked to you yesterday. And we were up at Loudon racing this weekend, so it's kind of a little bit of a shock to see what happened, especially we'll get back into it about what happened the last time I was on. But been pretty busy. Just drove to Pennsylvania, driving back home so I can finish college tomorrow and keep on going.
No doubt. No sleep, man. No sleep till Brooklyn. Welcome, Cheetah, to the show, man. How's it going? I'm interested to hear your take this weekend because it's like somebody walked into MotoGP and threw a deck of cards up in the air. Let's see which one lands face up. What's good, man?
Man, a lot to talk about for sure, bro. It was a very, very good race. This is what we were all hoping for, man. A little bit of excitement, a little bit of drama, a little bit of new faces on the podium. So definitely a lot to unpack in the racing, man. And I think a lot of notable wins, a lot of notable deserving podium places that should be there now from here on out. Let's see.
Okay. All right. I'm going to hold you to that, man, for sure. Let's keep it moving. Let's bring the real Luis Ortega in. What's good, man?
What's good, man? Great weekend this weekend. A lot of crazy happenings in the GP race and lots to talk about for sure.
All right, man. You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm ready to go. I got a little bit of a long day tomorrow, and then I got a really long day Wednesday. I got a long flight coming up. And then this coming weekend, I'll be down in Medellin, Colombia for the Feria de Ruedas, which is like it's the South American version of ECMA.
Yeah.
At least that's what they tell me. So I'll see when I get there.
You'll tell us all about it. What's up with all these motorcycle guys on the road and traveling, man? I mean, do we not rest?
It's crazy because we all get into this business because we love motorcycling. And then we wind up never having time to motorcycle because we're always working and always traveling. And when you travel, I mean, I can't check my motorcycle when I'm flying. So it's like, sometimes I go to beautiful places and I'm like, man, I sure wish I had a motorcycle.
Right. No, listen, always. We'll keep this thing moving though. Track stars, what's good, man? I mean, you're New York Knicks, I'm the Celtics. Normally, we're not supposed to talk and share a beer, but any Knicks fan I'll share a beer with, it will be you, man. What's good, man?
Man, what's going on? My Knicks go up 2-0. They lose their next game at home. We're playing right now. Kind of close. We'll see how it goes. But then my boy Pecco, what happened this weekend, man? What a week to come back. I should have called out sick this week.
Listen, man, you might have, or, you might need to lie down to a couch, somewhere and let people know how you're feeling. Because for me, listen, man, after the checkered flag, I was saying, boo. So I feel you there.
Mute Lewis for the rest of the show. He had his little talk right there. He didn't say nothing about me, so this is beautiful start. Just mute him for the rest of the show if you can, please.
All right, man. We'll try to do a little bit something, but hopefully it will be painless. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. Before we dissect and go into the nuances of the race between the sprint and the GP race, let's just talk about Zarco and what he did in the GP, because that's huge. 71 years since the French riders won their home Grand Prix. We'll start with Eli, because you also called it about a month ago. And when you said it, I was a little bit skeptical about it, but I could see it based on how he was going and weather and stuff like that. So you raced in Motor America. What is that feeling like to win your home GP? And well, in this case, your home round for you guys and stuff like that. But how huge is that for Zarco winning the French Grand Prix?
Man, I was pulling that out of my ass when I said it. So I was just trying to say something to piss. I was trying to say something to piss off Bobby Shakes a little more than I was. But that feeling. I mean, for me, my first ever professional win was at Jersey, which is my home track, and or one of my home Moto America round. And just to have, even for me, having say 100 people that I know that's close to family and people that I call friends being there, it just makes it so much more special, especially when, in Zarco's case, where your home race, it's your family's there. I think that was his first ever race that his mom was there.
Yeah.
And dude, that feeling is unreal, especially, at the top level in the world. That's country pride. That's carrying the weight of your country on your shoulders. And, I feel like that's going to be lighting another fire under his ass. And I think there's going to be some more wild results coming this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. Cheetah, Zarco is not Marquez. He's not Bagnaia. He's not some of these other guys that have won more than 3 GP races, right? This is only his second. I know what it's like to struggle he's sitting in the back of the pack for a while and not getting any trophies, not getting any medals, and talk myself off the ledge every driving home, watching the sunset in the rearview mirror. Can you talk a little bit about what that's like? Because I mean, he's a top rider, but he's not the expected one, right? Marquez is, right, and the brothers.
For sure, definitely not the expected one. I mean, the last time he won a race was Australia 2023, right? They said that they reminded us of that because it's been so long, we don't even remember, right? And he overtook Martin for that. So it was a last lap pass, and I forget the turn, but it was insane. And so to see him do it at his home track, and celebrate before and after with the victory backflip at his home track. And then, I mean, it even brought a tear to my eye, I got to admit. When he walks out there, right when he parks in Park Ferme and jumps out and walks to the front, just stands there and starts tearing up. They pan back to his dad. I mean, you can feel the emotion. Right. His dad, I mean, just crying, couldn't stop crying. So deserving for that guy, for what he's done for Honda this year. And, I think it's a lot of eyes on him now, especially because he got that win there. Very deserving for him, man. So I can't be anything but happy. And how can anyone not be that way, right? So very deserving of him. He deserves it. And I think there's a lot more to come now. I could see a lot more courage coming to him now.
Right.
Throughout the next season, this season.
I completely agree with a lot more to come. Lewis, what are your thoughts on Zarco, man? And, if you're MotoGP, would you add another French round to the GP? Because that crowd was awesome from just to watch, not necessarily even being there.
Nah, one round is enough for the French. We don't need to give them more than one. No, it was again another incredible turnout for a European event. 300,000+ people, over 113,000 just on the Sunday. Again, puts the US GP to shame that we could barely put together 150,000 people over the 3 days. Just again goes to show the engagement that they have in Europe. As far as Zarco, the on top of him winning, being the first Frenchman to win the French GP in 70+ years and everything else, he also stopped the Ducati win train for Honda. So Honda still gets to retain the record for the most consecutive wins as a manufacturer. So he came through and busted the Ducati party up and did it at his home track. So it was not just a Zarco thing. It was a Honda thing. It's like the stars all aligned and the clouds lined up perfectly for Zarco to do something amazing, man. It was I'm sure it's something that him and even the fans will never forget. And, is this that thing that finally gets the factory team to say, hey, Marini, we don't need you anymore. We got this guy Zarco that's actually not piling up the repair bills and actually finishing in the top 8 on a regular basis. You know, that's my next step is, you know, does he stay at LCR or is this enough to start the conversation to get him into the factory team?
Okay. Track stars. How cool is it for LCR to, you know, to beat Ducati? You know, Rins was able to do it a few years back at Coda and stuff like that for a satellite team who doesn't get a lot of shine. You know, does this make you feel a little bit better that Zarco won and Mark didn't win the GP?
No. No, it doesn't, man. I could just hear Smitty going crazy, you know. Now we know Smitty's never gonna buy a Ducati now. You know, he thinks he could be Zarco too, and every other Honda rider in the world. You know. Oh man, it's horrible. You know, when you have Ashton Yates here in America doing good on a Honda, and then Zarco wins the MotoGP. You know, it's just bad for the world. You know, it's false hope. People don't believe the hype, man. Why didn't Lewis start? You know, every clock is right once a day or twice, whatever he said. I don't know how it is, but I don't care. I don't believe in it. But listen, I'm not gonna lie. It was incredible to see his dad so happy for him. The whole country go wild. I mean, when you saw Quattorano out, you say, yo, that's it. The dream win is not gonna happen for the French. And Zarco runs off the track, so he started way from the back. So the two French guys are, you know, more or less finished, you know. And then all of a sudden, this guy's in first place. It's just. You couldn't write this stuff, you know. You couldn't write this in a fairy tale, man, and get it this right. Shout out to the new guy because he said this a month ago. You know, he hit the Mega Million. You know how he put a bet a month ago, and gone to Vegas. We man, this show would be rich right now. You know, we have a millionaire on the show.
No doubt, no doubt there. Little technical difficulties. Yeah, I completely agree. But let's talk about the whole weekend, and we'll dive further into the GP race. Let's start with you know, Q2. Do you think Marquez is getting pissed at Fabio for getting 2 poles in a row? I mean, you know, at the beginning of the season up until these last couple of rounds, we would have said Ducati was running away with it. You know, what are your thoughts, Eli, on that? You know, Yamaha being able to come in 2 rounds in a row and get pole position and win that Tissot watch.
Well, you know, I feel like we've always known this, that Fabio, sure, the bike isn't the greatest, but the kid's got raw speed. Like, I feel like he's actually one of the MotoGP with the most raw speed in MotoGP. He's always been, you know, up qualifying. It's whether it's, you know, he has a bike problem or not, which holds him back from going as fast as the Ducatis. But I feel like whenever he's in the zone and he feels comfortable with the bike, and especially it being his home Grand Prix, that's just, it's just a recipe for, you know, he's going to be fast no matter what, whether it's the bike's dog shit or, you know, whatever it is. If you're at your home Grand Prix, you're going to bound to be doing as well as you can.
Okay, it sounds like Lewis has a point there. You get a little bit more tense.
You get the hometown tense, man. It's a known thing, man.
All right, no doubt. Cheetah, what are your thoughts on that, man? You think you know Mark is phased by this, or is this fire for Mark to push a little bit more?
Man, I think Mark is matured a little bit. We saw, you know, even Alex pass him in the race at one point. I think he's matured enough to slow it down a little when he needs to and just keep the bike on 2. You know, as they say, I think he's having more fun. And you got to remember, like, Mark never got a chance to ride the GP24, right? He was on the 23 and he jumped to the 25. and you got 3 guys on the 25 right now, right? It's him, Pecco, and I think Digi, right? If I'm not
They're not on
mistaken.
the same bike.
Huh?
They're not on the same bike.
The GP25, yeah, there's only 3 people, right, on it?
No, but Mark, the bike that Pecco is on is not the same bike that Mark is on.
Oh, it's not? It's I believe
Slightly different.
No, I believe they are, and I think everyone else is on the 24 0.5 version. Like it's like
that's what the commentators are saying, that they're on different bikes.
Because Pecco can't ride the 25.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's stuck with the 25, and he's saying he's looking at Alex right now on the 24 that he was on, being successful, having a great time, and now he's on the 25 struggling, but Mark can handle it and tame it differently. But I think it's almost an advantage because
called talent.
Mark is not on the same bike as Pecco.
Called more talent than Pecco.
100% sure about that? We're gonna have to look this up.
Pretty 100%. I mean, again, this is what they're reporting on MotoGP.
Louis, can we get a senior correspondent?
I will. I'm gonna check the technical advisors now. I will get back to you shortly with the right technical information. From what I understand, he's on a modified 25 where they're swapping some parts out with parts that he wants from the 24, but the chassis and the motor are the 25, but then the tank and other pieces are the 24. They're trying to find that right setup, but he is on a 25 chassis motor setup with 24 parts. Because again, his biggest complaint is he can't get the feel of the front end.
Yeah, the front end into the corner end. I think that's the one thing that Mark's been able to adapt differently. Coming off the Honda, he used to be able to brake so deep and trail that bike into the corners. And I think now he's riding more like probably getting some of the braking done out the way because the 25 apparently accelerates better, and you have to be good on the mid-corner speed, right? So I think it's a lot that he's just been able to adapt to, and that may be the factor that he's okay letting Quartararo get a couple, first places and get a couple poles. It's not a big deal. It's a lot of laps to chase, right? And there's a lot of tire management and a lot of things that this guy, his IQ, his track IQ, his race IQ is bar none.
Right.
Quartararo, he got excited and might blow the wad on the first 10 laps, right?
Yeah, so he did in the main.
He did blow the wad in the rain.
I'm not saying that for no reason. He did that. So, and that's exactly why he ended up where he ended up. So, it's a lot of maturity that I feel like 93 has. And I'm not going to be surprised if he gets a few more second, third places even in the qualifying Q2,
right?
Just so he can win in a comfortable way.
Right. But there's a correction that they're on the 24 motor, 25 chassis,
and the other way around for the other guys, right? Like it's 24s, and then they're on like modified versions of it or something.
Yeah, but the motor, they had to go with the 24 because they didn't feel that they could prepare the motor efficiently for this year. So they chose the old motor, but they have a 25 chassis. Pecco has, like Louis said, the adjustment on the gas tank, and I forget, there's something else, Lou.
Yeah, there was another technical part, but it's not a major difference, I mean,
it's major enough. It's major enough.
Technically, he would probably rather be on
24.
He'd rather be on Alex Marquez's bike than be on, because one of the most telling things that he said this weekend is Marc Marquez can ride a tractor fast. Yeah. I can't ride a tractor fast.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much saying, if the bike is not the bike that I can be accustomed to, I can't ride around the problems that I find on the bike. Whereas Mark can ride around the problems because, again, he came off a shit box that he had to ride around all the problems. So for Mark, it's a double-headed sword. If you guys keep making me shit boxes and I keep going fast on them, you're not going to fix them because, hey, you're going fast on a shit box. Yeah. So you're not going to invest more money if you could win on a shit box. It's until that shit box is too big a shit box that I can't win on. Then it's like, oh man, maybe we should have fixed that like 6 years ago.
Right.
Dovey is the proof of that. They didn't change that shit for nobody. Dovey can put it on the podium. You can too.
Yep, no doubt. So, what are your thoughts, track stars, on Quartararo? Is his qualifying? Is this a sign that Yamaha is putting it together? I think they were on the V4 motor.
No, they were on the regular inline motor.
Yeah.
But I think they're gonna switch that motor pretty soon.
They're going to test it one more time. Yep. And then depending on how that test goes, then they might bring it in. I think they're going to do 2 more wild cards And during those wild cards, they might test it like full length weekend race, V4, blah, blah, blah. But it's still got some fine tuning. And what we said, one of the things that we said is there's tracks where the Yamaha strengths are strong enough to make up for Yamaha weaknesses.
Yes.
The last track in Jerez is one of those tracks where, again, not a lot of long straightaways, a lot of fast, high-speed corners. That's the strength of the Yamaha. This track, again, not a lot of long straightaways, a lot of fast transition, long sweeping corners, strength of Yamaha. Now, let's go to the next track where maybe some of those dynamics change and you'll start to see the Yamaha starts to struggle and fall back a little bit again.
Okay.
So Quartararo's riding the wheels off the thing, don't get me wrong, but there are going to be some tracks that are not going to benefit the strengths of the Yamaha, whereas the Ducati is an overall package that every weekend you roll it out, it can be competitive.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Track Stars.
I think it was just, man, I feel bad for Quartararo. I mean, doing what he did, just showing out, getting the pole, and then happening what happened is just kind of. I mean, you see how upset he was. He was ready to kill some of the monsters.
Oh yeah.
By the way, he got a penalty for that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
I mean, it wasn't. This wasn't what was supposed to happen. They should have been the perfect MotoGP race for him. And unfortunately, the gods chose it a different way for him.
Right. Let's talk about the sprint Track Stars, because he finished fourth in the sprint. So up until the main race, and I think is where he burnt out his tire in the sprint race and still finished fourth. So up at Saturday, he was still there.
No, he was. I'm not saying he wasn't. I think the how you say I've lost a thing for the spring. I guess my guy's not there. The spring king isn't there, Martin. So I don't care anymore. I
don't know. It seems to be there's a new spring king now because Martin never won 6 in a row. I'm just saying.
You need to stop when it's not your turn.
Just saying.
It's not your turn. Oh, but it's just. To me, the sprint was cool. The race was insane. I swear to God, that was the craziest race I've ever seen in MotoGP. I've never seen something like that. All the changes, all the drama, the excitement, because I was on the edge of my seat just watching. And when you think someone is in the lead, all of a sudden they're gone. Who you think is going to come back from the back? Oh, it was when if you're watching and listening, please go to YouTube, get the app, and just watch this race because everything was in contention. Bike swaps, mechanics prepping the bikes, choosing the right tires. It was just action-packed. And the French were the actual kings of this. Right. Johann Zarco and Quartararo was where they were placed. They were placed 2 thrones. Take it, whoever wants it.
Zarco and who?
Yeah.
And Quartararo.
Man, we gonna get you to say that name right one time.
Quartararo.
Quartararo.
There's no N in his name.
Quartararo.
He has that Spanish thing to it, no?
I'm Spanish too. Don't give me that.
You kind of took my thunder a little bit, Track Stars, about the race. In the last since 2000, I don't know how much MotoGP races you guys have been watching, rain races, mixed condition races. How does this one rank up against the others? And let me pull it up because I think I have some the other ones listed. What were your thoughts on it? Do you think this is the best mixed wet condition race that you've seen in your lifetime? We'll start with Cheetah.
Bro, honestly, I can't remember any other rain race notably. I remember this. I mean, this is a great one. All I can say, I cannot remember the last rain race that was memorable to me to where I'm like, man, that was an epic rain race. I'm just bad with remembering rain racing, I think. But this was amazing, man. I mean, it was it was mixed conditions sort of almost, you know? So some people pick this tire, some people pick this tire. It's a battle. Who made the right choice? Does Marquez know something that we don't? Is he connected with the actual rain god himself? You know, what the heck's going on, right? So a lot of chaos, and the people that took the risk got the 2 long lap penalties. And they're like, we'll eat that all day for the decision we made. Okay. So that was super exciting, man, to watch all that stuff that goes down. And then, of course, you got the local heroes, man, showing out again and leading the race. Quartararo just really showing out those 2 first half of each race. So, yeah, I think it was the most memorable race for me that I can remember.
Gotcha. You had Motegi 2023. You had Australia 2023. Le Mans 2020. And there's some in between there, I'm pretty sure.
Australia 2020.
Coda
2025.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was really mixed conditions.
So yeah. What are your thoughts, Lewis, on that? Is this with all as Trackstar described, with all the different changes of rain tires to wet tire to slicks and back again and the back again, and who did it right, who did it wrong? What are your thoughts? Does it rank up there as one of the best races for you?
I mean, it ranks as one of the most interesting races I've ever watched, and I have to give some thank you to Coda 2025 for giving us the French GP 2025. Gotcha. Because if the shit that happened at Coda didn't happen, then we wouldn't have had this new rule that made all this other crazy shit happen. You know, like it's almost like Coda fed the French GP this, like, hey, here's a really interesting twist that we're going to throw in now, where if you change your bike, if you do this, if you go through the pit on the warm-up lap and change to another bike, and so many people pitted that they actually had to red flag and restart. But then everybody that pitted during the warm-up lap actually now gets a double lap penalty, even though we have to restart the grid because so there's so many dynamics. So it's like this rule that they just put into play, the Marc Marquez Coda 2025 rule, a week after they put the rule into, it's like, here's why we put this rule. Look at this craziness that's going to happen. But it added this new dynamic that you don't see in a typical race. Like it added a pit stop. It really did add a pit stop, like an unforeseen pit stop. And with the double long lap penalty at another track, it probably would have been an even bigger impact. But Le Mans, where the long lap penalty loop is located, it's actually a pretty fast loop. If you look how people were taking it, they were only losing like 2 spots. If they were in a pack of 5 and they went in second place, they came out in 5th. They didn't come out in 18th, you know, like they were only losing, I'm going to say like 2-3 seconds difference between the guys that were on the race line and them going through the rain loop or the long penalty loop. So it was just a complete madness, man. And I would love to have worked in one of those garages because again, there's no 2-way communication. So you're putting out a pit board, and then if you saw some of the riders when they would go down pit lane, they were taking their right hand off the handlebar and using like almost hand signals to let people know, like, hey, on this next one, I'm pitting in, get my bike ready. Yeah. Because there's no communications in the helmets right now. Right.
Yep.
Or they would send a communication to the screen and just let them know, you know, bike ready.
Right.
So there was so much, like the mechanics were working, the riders were working, everybody was working the entire race, man. I think it's probably the most memorable rain race I've ever seen. I'm never going to think about another rain race because it was mixed conditions and it was just enough rain to make it exciting, but not so much rain to make it dangerous. Like Australia, when it rains there, it's just dangerous, man. There's no excitement there. Like you're just hoping everybody makes it home alive. Whereas this is just enough rain to keep the tires working, but not so much rain where like, you know, you're in like all this spray and everything else. I think they only had one big downpour and it was just enough to cool the tires down again. Right. But it wasn't like you were following somebody and it was like 3 or 4 bikes of spray kicking up in your face.
I agree. And I'll go back to Track Stars on this. And we'll say a what if, right? Because with all the chaos that happened, the people that started in wet tires and didn't change had the best chance to win. And Zarco was one of those people. Pecco started on wet tires, but he crashed and went in. I assume the bike had damage and lost a lot of time, with the bike, and then switched back again and all that fun stuff. Do you think that if that crash didn't happen with Pecco, do you think he would have stayed on wet tires and it might have been Zarco and Pecco 1-2?
Damn. Yeah, we would never know because
Bastianini took him out, so
Good question.
yeah,
it's not like he crashed on his own.
it's not like he crashed on his own. Yeah, that's the biggest upset right there, and at least the biggest question, right? Because we never saw how well Pecco was gonna ride.
We
Unfortunately,
did. We saw it on Saturday.
Yeah,
Stop
we did.
it, man.
We saw exactly how well he was going to ride on Saturday.
If you use that brush, Lewis, you got to use that for Marquez too.
I use it for Marquez too. Marquez got a couple of DNFs on his record because he doesn't know how to hold himself back.
Stop it, man. Stop it. I mean, at the end of the day, listen, we know come race day, Pecco always shows up. At the sprint, anything can happen with Pecco. Now, had he not been taken out, hey, Pecco always has a shot in my eyes. I mean, he's proven, it's 1, 2, 3, where Marquez, Alex, and Pecco. This is the real first time we see such a huge and drastic upset, but who would have thought besides Eli, who's not even on the show right now, that Zarco will put the bike up there?
Well, wait a second. I said on our last show, you weren't here. You weren't here for the last show, but on the last show, I said 2 people to look out for was Fermin Aldeguer and Johan Zarco. So you wasn't here for that because you was busy. You don't like to put time and effort on Mondays. Sometimes you got things to do. But if you was here,
he was watching his beloved Knicks, man. Come on, he watching his beloved Knicks.
Yo.
So Lewis and Cheetah, does Bagnaia get a pass for this round? Yes, we can say the blame on the crash on Saturday is on him, but on Sunday, his team wasn't ready for him. Granted, he dropped a bike, so he probably had to come in early and probably didn't get enough time to give him time to prep that bike. Does he get a pass for this weekend, or is off with his head?
I'm gonna say this: he might be sending Bastianini a letter, anonymous title, saying thank you. Because he didn't have to put up with whatever came Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, man, he is struggling, and we all know it. So I feel like in the back of his mind, he's probably kind of grateful that Le Mans is over early. Mm-hmm. A guy that's struggling that much and saying it publicly, he wants to go back to the other bike, and he's struggling with this bike. The front end is this, that, and the other. Man, I wouldn't be even talking about that, man. I'd just be like, we're working it out, But if he's saying it that publicly, you got to know his feelings are like, I'm thankful this is over. That's all I would say, Sunday, because Saturday, it was already what happened Saturday. And so, he probably didn't sleep well. And going into Sunday, the rain and all this chaos, he's probably just extra tense on top of all that, knowing the bike isn't working the way he wants. So, I mean, I don't know, man, what's his mind? Maybe, obviously he's disappointed. Let's be honest, right? He's had 2 DNFs back to back. So no one's happy with that. His team isn't happy.
He actually did finish 16th. He just finished a lap down.
No points. Yeah, so it's pretty
who got a point? Bastianini. Came in 13th place. So the same dude that took him out still got more points than him.
Yeah, but no, man, he's struggling right now is all I'll leave it at.
Okay, Lewis, you're the numbers guy. I don't think there's a number for pass.
Nah. I mean, in the dry conditions, we've seen him throughout the year. He's in the top 5 for the most part. That's his, that's where he's kind of fell most of the year. He's either been on the podium or just off the podium. He hasn't been completely out of the podium. I mean, he had, a DNF Saturday. That was his fault. There was nobody else around him. His problems on Sunday, Bastianini punted him and almost punted Johan Zarco. Johan Zarco had to ride through the gravel pit. And Johan Zarco said that might have helped him because he fell so far back that he was able to just set his own rain pace since he was on rain tires from the start. And as people started to pit and everything else, he just started to notice, like, my board keeps saying that I'm moving forward, even though I'm not passing people. And it's because people are pitting, people are doing long laps. And, you know, would Pecco have had the same or kept the same mentality as a Zarco, where Zarco had nothing to lose? He's like, let me run my pace. Let me be comfortable where I'm at. I don't have anything to prove. I'm already on rain tires. I don't have to serve any long lap penalties. I don't have to pit. I just have to go ride. Or, you know, after Pecco crashed and he picked the bike up, you know, he dropped the bike again. He had to go change bikes. He had to do this. He had to do that. Like, his whole mentality was shot. Like, he wasn't going to be competitive, at least not the way Zarco was. Like, he's got more pressure on him. He's got more pressure to win. He's got more pressure to perform. Zarco has no pressure, man. Everybody knows he's not on a great bike. He's doing everything he can. He's still finishing in the top 10 on a regular basis. And this was just an opportunity for him to just go out there, be consistent, keep doing these lap times. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, dude's like 20 seconds ahead of the guy in second place.
Yeah.
You know, and he's just like, at the end of the race, he's running a pace that nobody else can even come close to. And it didn't even look like he was pushing. Like, everybody else just kind of settled into like, hey, this guy is 10, 12 seconds ahead. Even Mark said, like, for 2 laps, he tried to put in some hard laps in the rain, and he noticed, like, I'm not even gaining any tenths on him, and there's only so many laps left. I'm not even going to bother trying to catch this guy. Either he's going to crash out and I get the position, or I'm just going to chill here and maintain second place and just keep this distance from my brother. If you look at the 2 guys that 2 of the 3 guys on the podium had nothing to lose. Zarco and Aldeguer had nothing to lose. They just went and rode the shit out of the bike in the rain while everybody else was like worried about this, worried about that. They just rode their race, and next thing you know, they're on the podium. And I don't think that would have happened to Pecco. I think Pecco would have put undue pressure on himself to try to catch up, to try to catch Alex, to try to catch Mark, to try to salvage points. And, you know, at the end of the day, look what happened. You know, he didn't do himself any favors by all the pit changes and everything else. So even if he hadn't crashed, I still think he would have been in the top 10. I still don't think he would have been on the podium.
Okay. Track stars, Alex Marquez crashed out. Go ahead.
No, I disagree. I disagree 100% with Lewis. No surprise. I think. Listen, I think Pecco knew that the pressure was on. You know, not only did Mark give Pecco a chance to come back on points, but Alex crashes and gives him a chance to come back on points. And all of a sudden, you know, here comes the week of the race, and you mess it up come sprint. And you know, okay, it's just half the points. I got to get myself together and like I always do, and get ready for the race, and, you know, at least put that bike on third. I know I could get on the podium. And with the rain, I might even have a shot to come ahead of these guys for some reason. And for him to get taken out, we talking about, what he has, 120 points? He's down 51 points. 51. I mean, and we know, like, you know, these opportunities don't come often when you have one amazing, but he must be a freaking alien, Mark Marquez, to make a mistake and let you come back 20, 30 points behind him in a championship. And the brother is leading. So you right there where you could, anything can happen. You have a shot. And to mess it up by 2 DNFs, I mean, when you talk about nightmare, he might never visit France again, you know?
Well, you know, Pecco's come back from being down 90 points the first title he got. So
not against Mark.
Yeah.
Just saying, not against Mark, bro.
Just stop it. Just stop.
Man, let me ask you this, bro, Rex. How do you think he's feeling right now, looking at Alex on the bike that he was on last year, doing something that he wish he could do right now?
Pecco?
Yeah.
I think the people with rings, when they wake up in the morning and look at their rings, I think they're a little okay. So I think Pecco, I think Pecco is realistic, and I think when Ducati knows that it's on them, when they had those horrible, Pecco went down, so the B bike might not have been ready, because I think in between one of those pit stops he did, he was waiting because the bike wasn't ready. So that's how he was a lap down. So I think he gets a pass because of those things, wasn't ready, and Bastianini took him out. So and up until this weekend, this year is still the best season he's had because this is his first weekend where he didn't score any points. And last year that was different and stuff like that. So if I'm him, I'm just chilling. I think it was I don't remember who said this about So
you're telling me you're chilling, not stressing, not worried.
I'm chilling because I will say this about Quartararo on a bad Yamaha is not complaining as what Pecco is doing, right? If he is, the public doesn't know about it. So I guess that's the one thing I wish, he doesn't say as much about the stuff like the field. Pecco, Quartararo is keeping all that to himself, and they've been suffering for the last 3 years, right? 4 years. Actually, they've been suffering since 2019, right? So I think if I'm Pecco Bagnaia, I'm just going to keep working. Ducati knows that there's something going on with this bike. They know how much the bikes are the same or different between Mark and his and so forth. And I think they're going to give him time to figure it out. And he's the one that, has brought them a title since Casey Stoner. And that's still huge. So, Mark hasn't brought them 2 titles yet. Right. So Mark has to do that. It doesn't matter what Mark has before for Honda. None of that matters. So I think if I'm him, that's what I would be doing, is regrouping.
Have you ever worked for Italians? In Italy, it's not what you did for me, it's what you've done for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, and I was gonna say Italians don't like when you're talking bad about the brand, man.
That's not true. Look at Annoni. Come on, that's not like Annoni got mad chances. They give people chances who they want to give chances to.
Yeah. No, I mean,
you know what I'm saying? So come on.
I think he's stressing more than you made it out to seem like, for sure.
No, he's definitely stressing now.
Talking about it, he's stressing. Switching parts.
When you got two brothers, man, every time he looks
in the middle of the seat in the back, you got to sit in the middle.
Yo.
Right, but
he looking back every time Mark crosses that finish line. He does this right away. He looking back, not for anybody but his brother.
Yeah,
it's almost like he knows my brother's behind me.
Yeah.
Every time when you gotta look when the race finishes, they're looking at how many times Alex picks that bike up off the ground and gets back out there, and then he crashes again, and it looks like Mark wants to cry. He just got second place, but he wants to cry because his brother had such a tough race in there.
Yeah.
Listen, I'd be worried because I know my seat is going to Alex. If I'm Pecco, my seat's going to Alex.
But even if Pecco lost his seat, which I don't think that's going to happen, but even if that happened, Pecco will be fine. We can't say Pecco is the only one stressing. All the other riders on that grid got to be stressing in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but they're not 93's teammate.
Yeah, but even
they're not the 2-time champion. He's not the 2-time champion that now has a guy in their box that's better than them on the same equipment. Like the next 2 rounds are going to be a good barometer of where things are, and then the third round from now, the Gran Premio d'Italia. If Pecco doesn't show up that weekend and Mark beats his ass on home ground, then you got a problem.
Right. But Pecco's been on team where he was not the best rider before. So
he's on it again.
I can't exactly. So I can't believe I can't believe that he doesn't know how to deal with that. And I can't believe that VR46 Academy, they're not dealing with that. And I firmly believe that like they're handling all that, because at the end of the day, I think they're gonna figure that out. But we will see. I mean, that's the cool thing about MotoGP and where it's at right now. We will see.
I think the next race is probably going to be another mixed condition race because it's early, England.
Yeah, England early too.
It's just early in the year, and it's in.
Yeah.
So there's good chance that there might be mixed conditions, but that's a track that Mark has shown at. Like he's shown up and done well there.
And then
after that is Aragon. And trust me, that's a Spanish round. Mark and his brother are definitely going to show up there. The last time they were there, Alex Marquez introduced Pecco to the gravel pit because both of them went for the same piece of landscape, and neither one of them actually won the territory. They both lost the territory. And then after that, they go straight to Italy. So the next round is gonna the British Grand Prix is neither here or there because it's probably gonna rain. It's probably gonna be a shit show. Like that's Aragon is gonna be.
They're going to Mugello there. You said Italy.
June 20th.
June 20th, Mugello.
Yeah, if Alex wins Mugello, he getting that seat, man.
Nah,
he ain't winning Mugello. That's gonna be a race that Mark's gonna want to win.
He's gonna want to win. He's gonna
because that's a race that he's gonna want to see if they're gonna boo him or if they're gonna cheer him. Because that's a track that is very yellow. Typically on Sunday,
I'll say this, man.
Super yellow. Super yellow.
Super yellow.
Super yellow.
Hey, man, when I went in 23, I went to the Spain one, and then I went to the Italian one the week after. The Spain one, the fans are more equal. Like they're for everyone, and they got their own fans over there. Bro, in Italy, it's all yellow, all Italian.
But here's the thing: Mark's on the factory Ducati team.
I wanted to add this, Louis,
which hurts them because they have to cheer for him because it's Ducati, but they have to hate him because he's Mark.
The Spanish riders, man, they boo the Spanish riders.
Oh, I know they do.
Oh yeah, they booed Mark. They booed Mark last year on the Ducati.
Yeah,
they did. I was there.
But it wasn't a red Ducati.
Oh,
it was blue Ducati. Hey, it makes a difference, man. Trust me.
What we're doing now?
Italians is so like hometown people, man. They're homers, bro.
All right,
yo, Rex, I'm done talking about Mark, man. I'm done now. I'm over.
Let's talk about Aldeguer. Let's talk about somebody that really is impressing.
Well, we'll go down a list. Let's talk about Honda, Yamaha, and KTM because they all got into Q2. They all did fairly well in the race. 1 through 10. Is it a fluke? Just the mixed conditions, or are these manufacturers starting to find their way?
Man, I think Honda's definitely starting to find their way. Yamaha is too. KTM, I don't know, maybe this track suited them a bit more because the previous tracks, it seemed like they weren't on that trend of where they're at in this one track. But Honda, man, I think Honda definitely is on the right track. When's the last time you seen Nakagami, bro, in top 10?
Top 6.
Yeah, top 10, but top 10. Let's leave it there. When's the last time you seen him there that often, and last time I can't even remember. So Honda's definitely on the right track. Zarco's doing his thing with it. And I think KTM still has a ways to go. I think Acosta may just have found a groove there and done something. But Yamaha is definitely on the right track. From what I think, what you guys are talking about, I don't think they're going to get that engine this year even. They might do it, like you said, in the wild card, but I don't think they're actually going to switch over, man. I think that's they even said like it's a slim chance that it could happen from what I read.
Okay. Louis, what are your thoughts on the brand? And I'll dive into is Vinales doing what Brad should have been doing for Acosta? Because Acosta is starting to find his way since Vinales has been up front with the KTM. Do you think that Acosta is sitting here saying, well, if Vinales can do it, I can do it? And when Brad has been kind of struggling last year and this year to be consistent. And so far, Vinales seems to be the most consistent KTMer.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's something that Vinales is doing in his riding style or his setup that's helping Acosta look at what he's doing and looking at his data and looking at his setup and saying, hey, let me try what Vinales is doing because what I'm doing is not working and what Brad Binder's doing is definitely not working. And, maybe it rained this weekend, so that's a little bit of an equalizer. This is a particular track that, maybe the KTM worked well on. Let's see how they work in the next couple of tracks. I still think that of the group of KTMs, Vinales is probably going to be the most consistent in staying in the top 10. I think Brad and Acosta are probably going to stay in that same zone. I mean, every race, it seems like they're battling each other. They're not battling anybody else. They're always battling for the same position. For some reason, their bike maxes out, and the only one that gets a little bit more is Vinales. And Bastianini, I mean, at this point, the dude's just riding to burn tires because I don't know what the hell he's doing, man. Like, this guy is just like, I'm just going to burn tires and burn gas until this contract is over and see what happens, because he's not really making any inroads. And I don't know. As far as like a bike that's performing the best, even though it doesn't have the most results, Honda and Yamaha are similar. Like, Honda's got Zarco, who seems to be the most consistent, and Yamaha has Quartararo, and Quartararo is an incredibly talented rider. But if you look at the rest of the Hondas and Yamahas, I mean, the entire Pramac team that's on Yamaha, they all suck.
Miller was good until he crashed out.
Rins can't find a top 10 with a map. Like, the dude just can't find a tie. I don't know what's up with like Alex Rins. He's a really great rider.
He's walking with a limp. You saw when he crashed, and
everybody's hurt here, man. This is a war of attrition. Every time you crash, it's a war of attrition. But dude, Alex Rins is a great rider, and for the fact that he can't get out of the teens, can't even get into the single dig. Dude, 9th place. If you get a 9th place, I'd be impressed by him. He can't even get into the upper teens. Can't get into 11. 11 is not even a teen, dude. It's an 11. 12 is not a teen. He's in 13 or further down.
Venus Williams.
Yeah. So I think Yamaha is definitely the bike that's getting the most advanced. Honda's right there, and KTM, I think, is falling way behind. KTM was better 2 years ago than they were last year, and this year they're even worse than 2 years ago. So Ducati, Yamaha, Honda, KTM.
Okay. Are you serious? Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. That's what I just said.
Yo, there's no way. There's no way. Yamaha is better than KTM. There's 3 riders right now.
Says so.
Yo, come on, man. The one guy. Yo, I don't think this guy's finished a race.
Who?
Quartararo?
No, not Quartararo.
Miller?
His teammate, Miller. I don't think Miller's finished the race.
He's a satellite team.
That's Miller.
That's a satellite, but that's Jack Miller, bro. Jack Miller is...
You should call him Miller time, because he's having a beer. He's having a beer in the paddock every time he comes out, whatever it is, his fault or not his fault. I don't care. I mean, I love seeing Pedro Acosta and Vinales up there consistently in the mix. They always in there right now, and the bike seems to be working. People just got this perception since KTM declared bankruptcy. Yeah, they're not going anywhere. Trust me, they're gonna be there next year, and the bike is gonna continue to get better and evolve. Now, what I feel is that Vinales is feeling this bike all of a sudden. He's feeling like I got something, and I could work with it because he's been competitive and he's been right there.
Heard Lewis's comments.
Yeah, no, he finally tightened the valve stems to the torque that he likes.
Yo, they're giving him his coffee in the morning the way he likes it. The sun comes up on the, not so centered on the horizon, but a little to the left, like just where he likes to see it come up from. And then so far every time he's known that the umbrella girl is going to have red socks on. He's called it every time, and that's how she comes out. And, man, it's giving him the juice he needs to even, really put the heat to this Pedro Acosta, who's supposed to be the second coming of Marquez, smack at all these people, man. And KTM is right there. Is Ducati, KTM, Honda.
What?
And then Yamaha. Yo, my man, Zarco done been competitive in 2 races too, just like your Yamaha team. Just because your first bike was an R6, don't mean that Yamaha's the second coming to Ducati, my brother. It's not happening. They could give them the B4, they're not going anywhere. But who is consistent? Luca Marini, baby.
Consistently in the dirt.
consistently 10.
Consistently
10,
in
you
the
know?
crash truck.
Hasn't crashed a bike, you know?
What?
Yeah. Yo, talk about Mir, you know?
Man,
How much is that bill? Yo, they paid him a certain amount and he's crashed this amount.
Mir is the new
he
Miguel
might have to-
Oliveira, bro.
He might ride for free for the next 3 years to pay back the bill of the bike that he's damaged.
I think Oliveira is keeping his seat as he's crashed out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Listen, man, I will say this. I think KTM, Yamaha, Honda, they all are chipping away at the Honda time. I mean, at the Ducati times, and they all are trying to get there, and which is great for MotoGP because even if they're just competitive for one race here or there, it's still better. We can't say it's all Ducati, right? And and that's great. And like I've been saying, I think they're going to continue to chip away at that. But let's talk about the battle between Acosta and Fermin Aldeguer. I mean, these two guys are the future. And I know they were battling for 4th and 5th, and I think Acosta crashed out on the last lap or something like that. But what are your thoughts on what you're seeing? And are you surprised at what Aldeguer is doing? What, 7 rounds in?
Are we 7 rounds in?
Is it 7 or 6?
That's a good question.
Let me
it's up there.
It's 7 rounds already? No.
We got Thailand, Argentina, America, Qatar, Spain.
6.
6 rounds in.
6 rounds in.
Damn, man.
So 6 rounds in, yeah.
That's a lot of the season, guy. This 25% of the season's already over.
Yeah, that's a quarter.
Right. 22
That's a
to
quarter.
go, 15 to go.
So what do you think, Cheetah?
Man, you could take that one, Lewis. I know you were thinking right there.
I asked you, so you can give me a little more time to think.
Don't let Lewis talk, man.
Tracks can't take all those facts, man. It's too many facts this late in the evening for him.
Too many facts. No, man. I think Acosta and Aldeguer, that was a great battle in that race. For the sprint, I forget what happened. It was I just remember Acosta was doing pretty good there, and Aldeguer obviously freaking comes out top on gets a 3rd place there. Aldeguer is looking very strong right now. I think he's really, like, the one statement he made post race was, "We have the speed, we just don't have the experience yet." So that goes aligned with where he's at and what he's showing, and I think that shows his confidence that he has. Acosta and him had a great battle in that race, and I think. Did Acosta crash in the sprint or in the race?
Yeah,
No, he crashed in the race.
He crashed in the sprint and I think mounted in the sprint because he finished 19th in the sprint.
He finished 19th in the sprint, yeah.
Yeah, in the race, I remember Aldeguer passed him with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and then he crashed out.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so he crashed out right after. I didn't see that. But yeah, no, I mean, looking strong, man. And Acosta just, I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know if he's feeling better and better with the KTM or if he's just counting his days before he switches to Honda. We haven't heard anything about that since the news of that. But it's great to see those rookies battle it out like that. I think Aldeguer's got a lot to prove now with his face cup coming. It's going to be like, is he going to be like another Agura? He's going to pop up and dip out, or is he going to stay on? I think he's here to stay, though. He's definitely got the speed.
Yeah, I think he's here to stay.
Yeah. I think between the two of them, I think Pedro Acosta is still, he's got a little bit more years in MotoGP, not many, but he's got some more experience than Aldeguer. What Aldeguer has in his corner is he's got the Marquez brothers. And the Marquez brothers are really, really putting out their hand to help Aldeguer, training with him, teaching him, sharing data with him, giving him all these insights that they have, and having, the number 1 and number 2 guy in the championship in your corner, willing to help you. It's a very, very expensive tool if you can afford it. Right. And obviously Aldeguer can afford it. Whatever relationships he had with them, it's showing through. I'm guaranteeing you that those guys are a huge portion of why he's where he's at. And I think he's going to continue to grow, looking at these guys, learning from these guys. I think the upside for Aldeguer is much higher only because he's on a much better package than Acosta. I still think Acosta is an incredibly talented rider. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's having his struggles with the KTM, and the question is going to be, is he going to be on that bike again next year? Because as of today, as of yesterday, a lot of rumors have started to swirl already that, there's going to be some major shakeups possibly before the end of this year. I hope Pedro Acosta leaves and goes to Honda. Honda's not a great package, but I think, they're pushing a little bit harder, I feel, than anybody else to try to get their swagger back.
What are your thoughts, Track Stars?
Man, so me, if I had to choose between both of them, it'd be Pedro Acosta. Fermin Aldeguer is on Ducati, which is the bike of all bikes. No matter what year, though, you could put him on a 2022. This guy will be riding the wheels off the bike. But man, next year, Acosta, I don't know about him going to Honda. I think he'll be on a VR46 bike, and that'll be a Ducati. And when Acosta gets on a Ducati, boy, yeah, I want to see him give some of that sauce to Marc Marquez, And I don't know if you guys heard, not to go off subject, but I already answered that. I think Acosta is the better guy. Fermin Aldeguer got 6 MotoGP races from what I'm seeing right here. Acosta has 25. And this is his first time on a podium. So I saw a lot more from Acosta his first year in MotoGP than I'm seeing from Aldeguer, because he was a problem right out the gate with no respect for nobody. And Aldeguer is riding, like he really has something to prove, and I'm glad that he's feeling the pressure and he's representing for the Ducati fans like myself. But man, I just think that he's not better than Acosta. Acosta is having a tough season, and he's still getting up there on a bike that he's not even happy with. So Acosta all the way.
Okay. All right. I like that. I will say Acosta did have a better start last year than Fermi did this year, but race 6, if he continues, it sounds like he's, from his press conference that he's learned a lot. And so he may like the taste of the Prosecco. You know what I'm saying? So, that might be tough. But it is entertaining. It is great to see because, you think of when Rossi retired, and we know Mark is, one of one. Who are the next guys that are going to kind of be the superstars in MotoGP? And those two are the front runner. I would have thought Bezzecchi. We could have said Morbidelli. We could have said Mir. Quartararo had a run, but these two guys, they're still unpolished. And I think they don't have a long track record. So, as long as they can, I think Acosta, either KTM needs to fix that problem or Acosta is going to have to leave. If not, that's going to be a talented rider that's not on a good bike. And we've seen a lot of riders in the past that's happened to, and they don't really get their shine. But I do feel like these two guys have the potential to be a Rossi or to be a Marc Marquez of MotoGP in the future. And I can't say that for all the young riders on the grid.
Yeah. No, they definitely have the biggest upside. They definitely have the biggest upside of anybody else that's currently on the grid. And they have the biggest upside of several guys that are at the top of the Moto2 grid.
Yeah.
I think these guys, if you put these guys in Moto2 and really told them to go out there and put it on the line, Acosta definitely wipe up in Moto2. And Aldeguer was in Moto2, but once he got that contract, he was just more worried about trying to get to that GP bike and getting hurt on a Moto2 bike. It's like they say, when you got that bigger fish to fry, I'm not going to fry this little fish. I'm just going to try to get out of this pond and go to the ocean. And that's what he saw when he got that contract. He was like, I'm not going to kill myself in Moto2. I already got a contract for MotoGP. I'll just chill.
Right. And this podium is the best reaction for his behavior last year in Moto2 as well. Because if you're not rookie of the year and if you're not making a splash, we will look at those antics, and
in a negative light
and talk about them.
No, Aldeguer's really proven with what he's done. I mean, I just had that moment when you see him come on podium and he talks and you're just like, holy shit, this man really beat out a sea of killers. Sea of straight killers in crazy conditions, man.
In his first real rain race on the bike, like a true rain race. Like this guy has no experience. Like this is really his first true rain race. So and again, some of that also is the tactics that he used. Like he got a soft tire, wet tire setup. Everybody else, or most of the people that he passed, had soft, medium tire setups. And he went with the soft because that's what the Marquez brothers were doing. So I'm going to follow their lead. And it turns out that was the right call. They got more experience than he does.
Right.
Oh, God.
And at the end of the race, he's running down people that are 8 seconds ahead in like 3 laps.
That was crazy. Crazy.
Like that doesn't happen.
But you got to give it to what Trax just said about Acosta is the man. If you would have seen him, we're not thinking about him because he's not on that same platform. But if he was on that same platform, boy.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be a problem. Gresini teammates, man, that would have been crazy to watch. So we'll see where he ends up going, man. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
All I'm saying is, remember everything you said today about the rain and how well they performed and how other didn't perform. And I want you to give Kayla, Yakov, and people like that the props, my man, when they kill in the rain. All right, you all right? You all right?
I got reflux, man. Something made me nauseous.
This podcast get a lot of views.
Bro,
this man did the. Oh no!
Oh man, listen.
This guy just every single time we do a show, somebody got pull something ridiculous out of that ass for no reason. And it's always the track stars guy.
But these are the things that we're talking about. I'm glad that you come into the light, understanding that it does take talent to ride in the rain. It's not only
take talent.
It's not only about the bike, and that these riders are really.
If you're only in the top 10 in the rain, or you're only in the top 7 in the rain, I'm sorry, this ain't a rain sport. Go learn how to jet ski. All right, 90% of this sport happens in the dry.
Oh my goodness!
So unless you're going to show up every weekend with a garden hose and wet the whole track down so that you could ride better, you need to ride as good in the dry or better in the dry and not wait for the rain.
Right.
Because you're never going to have a full rain season.
There's a disclaimer.
They might have
Lewis.
a leg up, right? Because they got the flat track advantage or something. They might have that leg up in the rain race, but Lewis is right. This ain't a rain race situation all the time, right?
But you can't do that, guys. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but it's not that cut and dry. If all the guys that were on the same bike, then we can say that. Yeah. But the rain, shows problems with the fast guys that may not have the same size testicles as the guys with wet, but it shows that these guys in the rain can perform because they have the skill, but they don't necessarily have the bike. I mean, I think it's more the bike is the issue between wet and dry than the riders.
Not always.
Okay.
PJ Jacobson has the same bike as Kayla Jacobs. Does she not, or does she have less parts? So why in the rain is he up front and in the dry he's up front, and in the dry she's way back there?
More experience.
Now experience comes into play. So now again we keep putting excuses on excuses, but in the rain, PJ's been around a lot longer. Does he not have more rain experience than her? So if she ends up in front of him in the rain, you can't say it's experience.
If she does, but
I'm saying,
but usually, I mean, it is. I mean, when we think of rain specialists, you think of Miller, you think of Oliveira, you think of Bender. It's not like we're saying the whole grid.
Yeah.
Right. There's a few guys that you know crutch low, and these guys in the past, and you know exactly Zarco. Yeah. So it's not everyone that can do it, and mostly the British and the French,
because they're used to it. It rains like that. You know what? That's where she could go race Britain, because it rains 90% of the time, so she could do great. So she don't have to worry about dry races. Like that's what you're telling me, Trax. Like you got to perform in the rain and in the dry.
She performs in the dry too. You know, like listen, this is just her second or third year on the. This is her third year on the Super Sport.
Second.
All right. Who else is in the third, or who else in the second year on Super Sport?
Is Davis?
Yeah. Second year on Super Sport.
So,
but but Blake, All right. It is just
some people are talented. Just in that area.
No, like she is. Yeah, I'm going to tell you this. She is incredibly talented, because if you look at everybody that's finishing behind her, there's a row of killers behind her. I'm not going to lie. There's a legit row of killers behind her, and she has the opportunity to keep getting better and moving up. And, you know, all she needs is, again, more time on the bike, more experience, get healthy, because it seems like every year she comes into the season with like a hurt knee or hurt this or hurt that. Like, you know, her off season, whatever she's doing to train, she needs to change it, because she can't come into every season hurt, because you're just putting yourself further behind. You got, you know, the top 5 or 6 people, whether it's, especially now, Super Sport is the front half of the grid is ex-Superbike winners.
Right.
Like, you're talking about a murderer's row up there. Like, you can't come into the season hurt and expect to compete with these guys. Like, you got to come in healthy. You got to come in with the right state of mind. You got to come in shape. You got to do all the, because Matthew Schultz, PJ Jacobson, what's his name? The kid that got dropped from Ducati Warhorse, Cam Peterson. Like, these dudes knows how to ride, man. You know, even when I speak with Blake Davis sometimes, I'm like, look, man, you're fighting against killers. You're going to learn how to go fast, because these guys aren't going to take it easy on you. So if you lose by 8 seconds, you just got to go faster, man. They're not going to give you any room for the learning curve is steep now. Like, you're only in your second year. If you can get on the podium, take that as a W. You won. Because if you look at the 2 guys in front of you, they've been riding since as long as you've been alive. so don't worry about that. Mm-hmm. And again, Kayla is the same thing. If she comes into the season healthy, if she trains the right way, she's got the right people in her back, she's going to do fine, man. She's going to move ahead. But, you know, let's not over push her right now, because again, this is how you put a lot of pressure on younger people, and they start to do things that actually curtail their career, don't help their career.
Yeah. And she's pretty young still.
She's like 17, I think.
She's super young.
Yeah, man. She got a lot of years.
Right, she has time. And you know, I'm not going to tell people what to do, but the WCR is out there, and you know, like, why not be the face of that? You know what I mean?
I think that would be an incredible opportunity for her, because again, it's a world stage.
Yeah.
I mean, the U.S. is the U.S., but we're not the world stage, man. And MotoGP has proven that. 130 people at COTA to see the best riders in the world. And then the first 2 rounds in Europe, double the attendance that we could get here in the U.S., even though we have 3 times the population of those countries. Like, come on, man.
You know what they need to do?
Crazy.
They need to tell Americans that they beat us. That's the only time we want to beat them, right? Only time we got beat.
That's a great promotional tool. I think that.
We put a tariff on it. As soon as we put a tariff on it, everybody pays attention.
Well, that's the only thing we're getting beaten. We beat everyone in the Olympics. We beat everyone.
Well, here's the things, and I meant to bring it up earlier, but I'll bring it up now, because if you guys were listening in on the commentary in MotoGP, Bradley Smith was in the studio, and you know, MotoGP announced 12 rounds with Harley Davidson. So you know, apparently, you know, MotoGP likes what we're doing over here in the States.
Wow. Well, I think the proof was in the pudding when they came here last year, because we did a bagger race at the last round of the year in Valencia last year. There was bagger racing in Valencia. and there was bagger racing at COTA. The COTA turnout last year was much higher because of the bagger racing, the engagement with a whole different segment of the motorcycling community that is typically not moto racing centric. You know, Indian guys, V-twin guys typically are not moto racing centric. Right. Then they did it in Valencia, and they saw the attention that it got in Valencia. And I think that's really what opened their eyes to this is a huge opportunity in certain markets where Harley Davidson is a big player to get an opportunity to bring a whole new crowd into this sport. So they'll come and watch MotoGP, even if they're only coming to watch the baggers, they're still going to be there all day. They're still going to pay for a ticket. We're still going to get more attendance, more eyes on the product, and maybe we can convert some of these people to MotoGP racers, to prototype motorcycle racing. So they can see both the excitement and what they want to cheer for, their Harleys, their V-twins, the big baggers, but then also maybe they'll stick around and continue to come back for these other things. I think it's great for Harley because Harley's had a really tough year last year. Like their numbers are super down. They need to turn the company around. It's great for MotoGP because they've struggled with some attendance in a few places over the past couple of years. And if they put the baggers in just the right locations, you'll see at least, I'm going to say, 15% more attendance. So like this weekend, Le Mans had 300,000. If they do it again with baggers there, there's an opportunity to get 330,000 or 335,000. Like it can significantly increase the amount of people there.
That's wild.
Yeah, man. You have to remember, in the U.S., 50%, up until last year at least, last year was a bloodbath for V-twins, but 50% of all the motorcycles sold in the U.S. are V-twins. They're cruisers. They're either Harleys or Indians or something like that. That's why Honda makes a V-twin. That's why all these manufacturers make V-twins, because it's a huge, huge segment of our overall riding population here in the U.S., man.
So can Ducati throw out the Multistrada in that?
No. Well, they got the Eval.
Either one.
But that's the Multistrada would probably be a hooligan bike.
Bring out the twin version of that bike back.
Well, put some bags on the Devali and say, hey, this is a bagger, and go race it, man.
That'd be crazy.
I'm just saying, well, BMW kind of make a bagger too, right? They're Continental or whatever they're. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see. Before we get out of here, one last thing I want to bring up a little bit. This is more social media influencers. So there's some street racers now going to the track and racing and or doing track day influencer stuff and trying to stay off the streets. What are your guys' thoughts about street hooligans coming to the track now and trying to act like they can go fast or being fast?
I mean, it's one way to keep the sport alive, man. That's a good thing to do, I guess,
I agree with that.
That's going to bring some people to the track that probably would have never come to the track, right? So they get to see somebody doing it. I think it motivates people. So it's good in that way. But I really haven't kept up with the scene like that to be like, are they bragging about it? Are they talking about they're really fast on the track or anything like that? I haven't kept up. Yeah,
it's more some of them are trying to do it, and others are just talking about how evil some of the people are that are trying to do it. So
that's what I've seen. I've seen both sides of that
guy. Yeah,
yeah. So it's good for club racing to get more people come out and participate and grow the sport and stuff like that. And I think it's good for to keep people off the street and doing the foolishness off the street that they can try to on the track.
I think publicity is good publicity, right? If you're talking about this guy who's going to the track and do we want him on the track? Do we not want him on the track? We're talking about the track.
Yeah.
Let's keep talking about it. So
I want him to keep doing what he's doing because it's important for the community. We got to realize that in the streets, if this would have been one of his ride-outs in the street, we'd be talking about another really severely injured person or someone passing away, another GoFundMe, and to the track is the exact message that we need to send out to a lot of these riders. Each one of those riders that went out there to his track day became a better, safer, faster rider automatically from that one day at the track. I'm hoping that what we saw, we saw more coaches controlling that when they're out there and kind of giving them the tips that they really need. I mean, I'm all about leaving the track, riding on the streets and racing at the track. You know, enjoying your bike at a more conducive pace than we would ride on the street. Because I'm telling you, I just lost a friend, and it wasn't necessarily to racing or anything, just people driving crazy and deciding to, you know, take someone's life because they were agitated, or I'm not sure what the reason was, but he took my friend, and we will miss him. Bills, rest in peace. And then we seen most recently another motorcycle being pushed off the road by a minivan.
Yeah.
It's more and more that these streets are not necessarily for us. And not that we don't belong on the streets. It's not that we don't belong on them, but I think the awareness of motorcycle and the cops are more focused on getting us off the road than really paying attention to what's happening on the road. It's not only motorcyclists riding out of control or not obeying the laws, but I'm sure there's more infractions of cars than there are motorcycles.
Right.
So it's important. It's important for us to get to the track.
I might not agree with that particular person and some of the things he's done in his past and so forth. Like, I don't need to agree with that. It's the same thing that I say when I watch a movie and the lead actor, you know, has like some charges against him or something. Like, I can separate the content from the person that created the content.
Yeah.
And if he's helping motivate people to get off the street and at least try going to the track, at least try doing what they're doing in the street in a more controlled and safe environment, then that's a positive for me. So I can separate the two. You know, it's like I say, you know, one of my favorite movies is The Usual Suspects. I think it's one of the greatest movies ever made. Kevin Spacey is a fucking creeper. But I can separate Kevin Spacey from this movie that he made and realize that as a movie, as a character in this movie, the character that he played was an incredible character. I don't have to like him as an actor, but I can enjoy the film by itself. And that's the way I really try to equate these things, is sometimes you don't agree with an actor, but you got to give credit to the work that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if he's getting people off the street, I mean, you've seen, and most of us have seen a lot of his videos where people are following him the street and end up in the bushes, in the trees and everything else. Like, if he's got this kind of pulse on a certain segment and he can try to divert that segment from doing these dangerous things on the street and go into the track, it's doing us two big favors. One is hopefully saving some lives, and it's also bringing more attention and bringing more people to the track. And we need more people to attempt this. Like, just because you buy a super bike doesn't mean everywhere you ride is super bike country. And that's just really not. You know, the BQE, you know, track stars and myself can tell you the BQE is not a place where you want to push a V4. You know, the Henry Hudson is not a place. The West Side Highway is not a place. But drive about 2 hours to South Jersey, get on the track, and you know what? Really learn what this bike can do in a controlled environment with people that can teach you the right way to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, the big debate that I used to have years ago is people are like, oh, it's super expensive to go to the track. If you crash your bike, oh, I don't want to go to the track because I might crash my bike. Well, there's a good chance you're going to crash it here now, what you're doing.
Man,
and on top of that crash,
there's a million excuses, Lou.
yeah, and on top of that crash, there's going to be a big medical bill because when you hit that guardrail, when you hit this, when you hit that.
Bro, there's a million reasons, and I think half these guys, my fear is that half of them are never going to come back after 2 track days, 3 track days, and they got this skill now, this half-ass skill, but they're good now, and they're going to go back on the streets and go faster than ever.
Most people,
There'll be some of that, yeah.
There's some of that, but most of them are going to get back hooked on the track for sure.
Most are going to get humbled because they're going to realize that the skill that I thought I had, I really don't have. And again,
that's why they're never going to come.
No. But this is why
they come because of that.
they need to work with the right or go to the right track days.
Right.
Because if you go to a track day that has quality staff, quality coaching, and everything else that can actually pull you to the side and tell you what you're doing wrong and help you. And like, if you go to a quality track day, you get hooked on it, not because just the track day, but because of the education that you're getting as part of the track day. That's why I don't really like track days that are just about cycling people and getting them from one group to another so they can make more room in the entry group, because that's where you get most of the new riders.
Right.
Like, I like track day companies that have educated coaching, educated staff that actually takes the time to help the people elevate their riding, go from one group to another group, go from that group to another group, go from that group to another group. And hopefully, even if 1% of those guys end up racing one day, again, it all started by that one guy that got him from the street to the track, and then things went from there. And
people just want to talk when they keep talking about like this guy did that or that guy did this. These guys aren't promoting the track in any one way or the other. They just want to talk about some guy that did something bad. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's not what this is about. This is about him going to the track. That guy you want to talk about, he just went to the track, he promoted it. Everything that Louis just said, it's all positive stuff that comes out of this.
Right.
I think we just got to get over some things, man.
Yeah, you just got to separate the art from the artist.
Yeah, and Cheetah, you have a good point about there are some riders, and I've seen this, that think they're really badass on the street, and they get to the track and they don't get humbled, so they don't show back up. Because they you know, when they're setting up, when they're there the day before, the morning of, they're talking mad trash, and by the third session, they kind of looking up in the sky and just kind of figuring out, you know, what's going on, and then they don't show back up to the track at all, because of that, and that's not a good attitude to have, for sure, because you should come back, but there are a lot of, you know, there are people that, you know, get the 1,000cc bikes and they do top speed on it, and they walk around and think they're untouchable. You know what I mean? And try to, you know, make some people feel bad in the process and all that fun stuff. But then they show up to the track and then they got to get humbled, because now you got to learn how to ride, and you're not as quick, and you realize that, you know, you can only go fast straight.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on. Let's tell people how they can find you and your sponsors and all that fun stuff. Start with Cheetah.
Sir. Yes, sir. It's just I was gonna say Trackstar. It's just Cheetah 740. Trackstar, my sponsor.
Your biggest.
My big sponsor. Yeah, no, it's Cheetah 740, Instagram and YouTube. That's easy to find.
Real Luis Ortega at Instagram is the best way to get me. You can DM me directly there. I'm sponsored by Visa and MasterCard. I have to pay them back every month.
Cash App, Venmo.
And Venmo. If you guys want my Venmo, if you want to sponsor me, I'll give you the digits to send some cash. And again, I enjoy all the interactions that we're getting online, that I'm getting, messages that I'm getting. I appreciate them. I appreciate the love that we're getting from this group, from everybody here. You know, we like to talk trash with each other and talk trash in general, but we also, you know, try to put out some really good information. And so I appreciate you guys, man. I enjoy working with you guys.
It's your boy Trackstars, man, and you already know, please continue to send Louis those messages of support, and let him know to continue to root for Pecco, the real Ducati champion. But follow me on Instagram. If you need anything from Dainese, please don't hesitate to DM me. As an ambassador, I'm here to try to figure out how to help you guys get the gear, the best gear in the market. If you need a Ducati, make sure to reach out to me. For Ducati New York, mention Trackstars at Ducati New York, mention Trackstars at Dainese. It's the best way, not only to get a smile, but to leave with a smile, because you left with the bag or you left with the bike at exactly what you want at a good price. So you already know, like I always say, stay up on tools, and thank you to Rex for putting us on this platform. It's really fun to talk with you guys about what we're so passionate about, and get to a track day ASAP. Hit me up if you need help getting to a track day.
No doubt. I want to thank everyone for coming on. Like you guys said, this has been fun. And for everyone that's commenting and interacting with us, we appreciate it. And hopefully we'll continue this in the future. I want to shout out to Freedom Cycles, New Hampshire. I mentioned B4evaKool, save some money. They got all kind of bikes. I got 3 different brands. So it's like kids. I can't say I love one over the other. I just love them all. Thank you guys for coming on, man. Peace.
Thanks a lot.
Peace.